Buenos dias. Welcome into Marketology. I'm your host, Drew Martin, coming to you from Costa Rica. We're going to be breaking down the early week line moves in college football, see what teams are getting bet, what teams are getting faded, what are over teams and under teams. And guys, we're filming this about 5 o'clock Pacific time on Monday afternoon, so the market is about 30 hours mature. We're going to be going over the BetOnline openers to the current line right now. We got also grading the week before's moves, seeing, if the market was right or if the market was wrong, and what teams are getting bet week after week. Also answer some of your questions, and you can see what I'm personally betting in my BetOnline account on yesterday's openers. So guys, let's get right into it. We got about 10 line moves, notable line moves on 2 different slides, so we'll put them up for you and give you the rundown. Thursday night, we got 103-104, Texas at Iowa State. Texas opens -4. Current price is 6.5, so the Longhorns getting bet. I think this has a lot to do with their nationally televised good performance against USC. That defensive line looked good. Also, the market kind of fade in the Thursday night away team. The market fades the team on the road. However, keep in mind that Texas did not have a game this past Saturday, so extra time to prepare. Not as big of a factor in this one. Also got 115-116 Rice at Pitt. Pitt open -23 at BOL, now only -20. I was on the wrong side of this move. I can't believe people are actually betting the Rice Owls. I believe I bet Pitt somewhere in between this, but definitely didn't get them at -20. I'm really surprised by this move. We got 117-118 USF ECU. This is some totals action. Open 69 up to 73.5. For USF, if you're not aware of Quentin Flowers and company on their offensive side of the ball, you're probably watching the wrong show. But I think that this move actually has a lot to do with ECU offensively. Just last game, 41 points. I know it was against UConn, but that's a lot of points. Could be kind of fireworks there for ECU's offense, maybe a spark of some sort. Either way, the market really liking this over. We also got 191-192 UNC versus Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech -6.5 up to 9.5. The market liking the option there at home at Bobby Dodd Stadium. 171-172 New Mexico State versus Arkansas. The market really bucking the SEC team, -20 down to -16.5. The Aggies of New Mexico getting bet big. I think that actually offensively, their quarterback running back combination is even more talented than the SEC team. It is always interesting, though, betting a Sun Belt team going into SEC country. I actually agree with this move. This is a, 3.5-point move on the Sun Belt team. We got another slide here for you. 133-134, the most interesting game of the week, in my opinion. Buffalo at Kent State. Buffalo opens -4.5 at BetOnline yesterday. Now showing a 7.5. This one actually got bet up to 8, then back to 4.5. Now currently at 7.5. A lot of opinion in this game. A lot going on. Buffalo quarterback went down with a knee injury. The backup came in. However, I just kind of view this as a fade Kent State opportunity. And also Buffalo has been a darling ATS-wise year to date. We got 153-154 Navy at Tulsa. Navy -2.5 up to -5.5 versus Tulsa. I like this Navy option against the Tulsa defense. I think Tulsa's front seven is not that strong, and going against I just think that their linebackers are a little bit slow going against that Navy option. I think it's going to be a long day for the Tulsa defense. We got 165-166 Coastal Carolina versus ULM. The Louisiana Monroe here, -9 bet up to -11. ULM's kind of been a darling ATS-wise so far this year. Also, Coastal Carolina new to FBS. The market faded them here. We got Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. Oklahoma State -11 down to -8. So the market betting on Texas Tech. Also might be a fade of Oklahoma State off of a loss. That's an interesting one there in Big 12 play. And then 173-174 San Jose State versus UNLV. UNLV -9.5 up to as high as -12 right now. This is definitely a fade on San Jose State. When you look at San Jose State, I believe they lost by more than 40 points ATS just last week against Utah State at home. So when that happens, I believe it was about a pick'em price, maybe about -2, +2, right there around pick'em. They lost by 40 points to Utah State, so the market way off on them last week. And I believe that's just carrying over this week against UNLV. But guys, we got to grade the week before's picks as well. See what teams actually cash for the market move and what teams were wrong. So if you can't track it, you can't improve it. We've got a couple slides for you. Wins and losses graded in. Louisiana Tech versus South Carolina. This one opens South Carolina -10.5. Current line at the time of filming was -8. So the 2.5 point move towards Louisiana Tech was the correct move, grading that one as a win. We got Florida, Kentucky. We had it -5.5, then down to -3. We know that was a great game there for Kentucky at home. Tough spot for Florida, and the move on that one was a win as well. The UCF Maryland game, this one was some totals action. 64.5 up to 67. That move was actually wrong, and later in the week there was some sharp money towards the under. I actually bet this one over, so wrong side of the move. And it was the wrong side. I believe UCF won 38-10. However, when grading out this play, tough to really put too much emphasis into it because the Maryland quarterback did go down, and they're actually now on their third string quarterback. He kind of looked like a deer in the headlights. So as far as grading this total, that had a lot to do with it. We had Kent State versus Louisville. Louisville opened 39. Up to 42.5. I believe this number actually fell on 39. So if you bet Kent State, which I'm not sure that a lot of people did, you actually won this game. So we'll grade this move out as a loss. Last slide here, guys. Syracuse at LSU. This total 53.5 up to 56. That was a win. Both teams pretty much cruised over by at least one score, maybe two. TCU, Oklahoma State, 64.5 up to 68. That was the marquee game last week, and that one was a win as well, cruising with ease over that total. Last one here, San Diego State versus Air Force. SDSU opened -7, down to -3.5. This one finished 28-24, a wild one. Actually, 29 points scored in the fourth quarter alone. And since it fell on 4, we'll have to grade this out as kind of in the middle here as a push. So the moves went 4, 2, and 1, last week's notable line moves. And so the market was right more than it was wrong. Got to respect these market moves most of the time from the bet online openers till Monday. It's a volatile movement, and it was right more than it was wrong. But guys, I appreciate y'all kind of chiming in. We got a new section here answering y'all's questions. Really appreciate you hitting me up on Twitter. Also using hashtag AskSBR. My Twitter handle is @DrewMartinBets. Answer any questions going forward on the Marketology shows. So got a couple questions here from y'all, starting with @JasonElling. Cool Twitter name, by the way. But how to evaluate Mississippi State? Really, Jason, now they're going up against Auburn, and Auburn has a really good defensive line. And what I took away in the past from Mississippi State is Nick Fitzgerald kind of excels against weaker defensive lines, especially against that LSU defensive line. Usually we think of LSU and defense. However, this year, they're kind of banged up front, and it showed. His dual threat ability really tore them up. And then he had to go against UGA's defensive line, which really got after him. He struggled. And having to go into Jordan Hare at night against that up front defense that Auburn has, they're really good. I don't like this profile for Mississippi State. Looks like the market's kind of onto it, though. Pricing Auburn, around 9.5 or 10 now. So it is kind of pricey on Auburn, but that is the only way I'd look on that. Thanks for the question, though. We also got @JetSet. The metrics I use when handicapping college football. JetSet, as far as sidewise, I don't use a lot of the metrics just because I think, especially this time of the year, when you talk about Sun Belt teams going against SEC teams and then using yards per play against that type of defense, compare it to a Sun Belt defense, I think that's kind of tough. I use more of the metrics in pace of play. So, usually the amount of time in between each snap to see how fast these teams are snapping the ball, how much time comes off the play clock, especially in the first half, more so than the second half, is the metrics I use, more so totals-wise. If it's a really fast-paced team, look to bet them over. Slow-paced team with a good defense, that's the times I'm looking to bet those under. Lou Skunt, one of my favorite names in the SBR community. What's up, Lou? Thanks for the question. How will Miami do in ACC play? Well, I'll tell you, Lou. Short week, on the road, night game in Durham versus one of the most underrated coaches in the country, David Cutcliffe. Duke's 4-0, 3-0 ATS. I'm not looking to step in front of Duke, so as far as this week goes, it's Duke or pass for me in the Miami game. Keep in mind, Duke has outscored their opponents' ATS by more than 40 points year to date. So the market's been way off, underrating the Duke Blue Devils. Also, you did a 2-for-1, Lou. I'll answer the second question as well. Oklahoma State overrated, in my opinion. Obviously, they had the tough loss to TCU. But to say a team's overrated when they're sitting at 3-1 ATS year to date, I'm not ready to say that. So the books have taken it on the chin with the Cowboys 3 times this year. They're sitting at 3-1. So no, I would have to say, Lou, they're not overrated so far this year. Also, last question here from Mr. Say 10, Michigan State, Iowa thoughts. I'll tell you this, Iowa not looking good versus UNT. Also that Wyoming win, you know, that doesn't look as pretty nowadays. Wyoming, the Cowboys haven't looked that good this year. Also, we're more than doubled in total yards against Penn State. Penn State put up 581 yards, whereas Iowa only put up 273 yards. So as far as betting this game, I would shop for a 3 and go with Sparty. That's my opinion. I don't bet much Big Ten, but if I was going to bet this one, it would be the Michigan State Spartans. Also, guys, thanks for the questions. Please ask more for next week. Happy to answer them, and thanks for tuning in. But actually do want to get to my bets on the Bet Online opener, share them with you. We'll put them up on the screen. This is from my personal account on Bet Online. We got Buffalo, -4.5. I hit them there. I also hit them -6. So as far as grading purposes, I think some other guy asked on Twitter about record, and I believe coming into this week, 3-3, so minus juice, a little bit down so far on the Marketology picks. But overall 500, and really going after him this week with the most plays released on Marketology. So hopefully it's a good week here. So we'll grade these actually as 2 separate picks because I did hit Buffalo and Navy twice, both a unit each. So Buffalo -4.5 and -6. Also got Navy -3, hit them again at -4. The Georgia Bulldogs -7. Army -23.5. ULM -10, and Pitt -21.5. Wrong side of that move on Pitt. However, I'm going to stick with that. But guys, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Marketology, coming to you from Costa Rica. I'm Drew Martin. Hit me up on Twitter at DrewMartinBets. Also use the hashtag AskSBR. Answer any questions next week. But guys, thanks for tuning in.